as good as you are ever going to see.
Fantastically done. What a strike for South Africa. We'll never see one like that again.
That is absolutely sensational.
You won't see better than this.
You make me feel so alive.
One-day internationals, one final time. It's the 6th Momentum One-Day International. South Africa against India. And this one, the final one, comes to you from SuperSport Park. Look at them going up the highway, coming to Centurion. South Africa's side arrive. Yes, there's smiles on the faces because they must put on a show today. They must salvage some sort of pride because in the series so far, it's been all India. These guys will smile because they've got the job done. Even a little bit of a dance from the skipper, Virat Kohli. Him and his men have been very, very good all the way through this series. Now then, let's get to the toss, get everything started with Mikey Holding.
Yes, Pommy, thank you very much. The final toss in this Momentum 6-game series, and I've got both captains here with me. Aiden Markram, South Africa's captain, Virat Kohli, India's captain. I've got former Zimbabwe cricketer and the Pycroft match referee, and as usual, Zach, the mascot. Don't roar, Zach. I think Aiden has a coin. Tails is the call.
Tis a tell.
That was quick again. Virat, you're bowling first?
Yeah, Mikey, we're bowling first. It's a hard deck, so obviously the new ball's always in play at Centurion, pretty much what we did last time as well. But, although we want to win the game, it's an opportunity again to put ourselves under a situation which we might encounter in a very important game in future to come. So as a batting unit, we want to embrace that challenge and the pressure of chasing down a total again and, ask our bowlers to do something which might not be the case, in a crunch game, as I mentioned. So we want to get used to that mindset and embrace things that are a little uncomfortable.
6 games, that certainly gives you the opportunity to experiment a bit. You haven't done much with the team. Are you going to do that this time around?
We only got one change. We're giving Bhuvi a rest. His workload of bowling, plus he's contributed with the bat as well throughout the tour. So, his body's feeling it. So Shardul Thakur comes in place of him. Pretty exciting talent, has a heavy ball and, he's done really well in limited overs back home and the IPL as well. So it's an opportunity for him to come here and bowl on pitches that might make him a little more happier. And, that's about the only change we have.
Okay, Virat, good luck.
Thanks, Mikey. Cheers.
Aiden, it has been a tough series. This is the last game. I don't suppose you prefer to bat or bowl. You just want to play some good cricket.
That's exactly it, Mikey. We weren't too phased with what we were going to do today. We're just sort of striving towards putting that perfect game together, and that's our main focus today.
Pitch looks good for batting, though. You should be hopeful of getting a good score.
Most definitely, yes. It looks a cracker. SuperSport Park generally is a good batting wicket, so we're more than happy to bat first and hopefully put a good score on the board.
In the press, there has been speculation about some experimenting the team and a few changes. Are there any?
There's a couple. There's 4 changes. Fortunate enough to have Murray back in the side. And then the other 3 changes, Imran Tahir comes back in, Kaya Zonda and Faji Behardin also back in the side.
Okay, good luck, Ed.
Thanks, Mikey.
India have won the toss and they are in the field first.
Thank you very much to Mikey Holding and happy birthday to him, by the way. A look at South Africa's side. Neil McKenzie and Sunil Gavaskar alongside me. Afternoon to you, gentlemen. Mac, as you look at that, your thoughts on changes made and also on what South Africa must do to play freely today with the series already decided?
Yeah, well, I think, first of all, morning Pom or evening Pom or afternoon Pom, all the 3. I think obviously 4 changes for the South African side in terms of Zondo and Behardin coming in that middle order, replacing Miller and JP Dumney. The South African camp have spoken about giving opportunities. You'd obviously like to give opportunities when you've won the series, not when you've lost the series. So that's to be a little bit of a disappointment for the Proteas. Then obviously Imran Tahir coming in for Shamsi. And good to see Morris back. Obviously he came back from injury and he'll add some batting depth and a little bit of firepower there.
Okay, on to the Indian side, and you went to great pains to kind of describe that there's not much to change, is there, within this Indian side? It seems, Sonny, that it picks itself. What are your thoughts on the whole selection thing and giving guys a chance?
Well, I mean, why fix if it's not broken? And the Indian team certainly has been playing so well, both in the batting
and the bowling department. It's only the catching that they have perhaps let themselves down. And so therefore, they have not made any changes. You look at the workload, and Bhuvneshwar Kumar has been bowling a lot in the test matches as well, and he's batted, like Virat said. So he's the only one who's been given a bit of a break, and Shardul Thakur comes in his place. He's a quick bowler, gets the ball to move away from the right-handers, and he can bat also. Not as good as Bhuvneshwar Kumar, clearly, but it's pretty handy with the bat down the order. But clearly, I think if there was going to be any other change, it would have possibly been that Shikhar Dhawan, with his great form, would have been given a bit of a break, because he's also in the T20 game. And Ajinkya Rahane, who's in this squad as the third opening batsman, would have opened the batting along with Rohit Sharma, and Manish Pandey would have come in to bat at Ajinkya Rahane's number. But they clearly haven't disturbed the batting. They want to keep the rhythm going of the batting. And so the only change that they made is Bhuvneshwar Kumar being left out and Shardul coming in. I think that's a good change.
No chance of resting one of the wrist spinners?
I tell you what, like they say, Virat Kohli would have a mutiny in the dressing room. I mean, where are they going to get a situation where they've got to get a ball in their hands and they see at the other end the South African batsman, wondering what is going to be the first ball. Is it going to be a quicker one? Is it going to be a tossed up? Is it going to be the wrong one? And in a situation like this, every bowler just does not want to let go of the ball. The form, again, is very good.
In talking about these wrist spinners, with the change to South Africa's middle order, a couple of guys who've kind of had the run at them, also had to have a look at them all the way through the series going out, and guys who haven't had a look coming in, is it back to square one?
I don't think it's back to square one. I think there's obviously been a lot of footage, but I think footage only counts for so much. I think obviously you'd be going through with Prasanna, the analyst, just going through his variations. But once you're out there, you by yourself and you've got to experience it for yourself. I think, obviously they're replacing the two left-handers with the two right-handers, so that could change a little bit of the angles in terms of scoring options. It looks like a better wicket, so it could be coming on. And obviously the deflections here at SuperSport Park, they go for 4.
Let's speak a bit about these spinners, and particularly where they've come from, in that when I think of Indian sides, you think of Ashwin and Jadeja as the two guys who are the main guys for the one-day side and the 2020 side. It's not so. They're not even here, and yet these guys can come and wreak havoc.
Well, that's because Ashwin and Jadeja in the last few matches, in the Champions Trophy, for example, were not able to make the kind of impact that they make in India. Because on pitches where there's nothing in it for them, where the ball doesn't really turn, finger spinners have found it difficult. Wrist spinners, on the other hand, because of the flight and loop that they have, and of course the variety of deliveries, more variety than, say, the finger spinner. And therefore they've been very successful here, both Chahal as well as Kuldeep Yadav. And I do believe that is going to be what the Indian spin attack is going to be going on to the World Cup. They'll look at having more of the wrist spinners, because wrist spinners can be occasionally expensive, but they also get you 4-4 or 5-4, and that's the best dot balls that you can get, where you're breaking partnerships, you're not allowing anybody to settle down. So I believe that this is what the Indian team will go in for. Maybe just one in England and in Australia instead of 2, but yes, I think Ashwin and Jadeja, they'll be very lucky to get back in the Indian team. Jadeja might. He's got age on his side, and he can come in place of Akshar Patel, who's a similar kind of player in the squad, but who's not got an opportunity. But Ashwin, to me, for even in India, both of them were left out in the matches in India just now, in the one-day matches against Sri Lanka, Australia, New Zealand. And that time it was called that they were being rested. But clearly now they're not being rested, they've been dropped. So I doubt if Ashwin in particular will be able to make a comeback to the India one-day team.
Yeah. Plethora of riches, I guess, for the Indian side. If you can leave players as good as that out, then you know you're getting something better. And these spinners have been particularly good. And Ravi Shastri, no doubt, will be very happy with his side, as is the captain. Also, Otis Gibson, what are his thoughts? Let's hear from the two coaches who caught up with Mike Haseman earlier.
Ravi, what has pleased you most about this series win?
I think the character the boys have shown more than anything else. To be 2-0 down in the test series and then to come back and win that last test, take that momentum into the one-day series, I think the guys have been outstanding.
And I think I know you well enough to know how you think about the batsmen in particular. 5 centuries on the tour compared to 1 to South Africa tells a big story.
Big story because, we've always talked about people getting starts, converting them into big scores. And, if you look at the Indian team, it plays in a manner where one guy gets 100, then you're close to 300. So, that's the game plan. We don't want to waste starts, and the boys have done exactly that.
Okay, the tour's not done. This is an important game. 5-1 result to you guys, though, will be massive.
You got to play one game at a time. You got to repeat the good things you've done in the last game and take it forward into the next game. We won't be thinking of 5-1 or 4-2 or anything of that sort. We'll be thinking of doing our job to the best of our ability. Each one has a role, from a personal point of view and from a team point of view. If they execute that, could well be 5-1.
We may not get a chance to chat to you again. I know how much you loathe coming to South Africa. How's the trip been, Ravi?
Fabulous. It's been a fantastic trip. I think if you look at the ages of the boys, they've come at the right time. I think they've played some real hard cricket here. South Africa, were the better team in the Test series, but the boys would have learned a lot from this tour of South Africa. I think, like I mentioned, 15 months down the line, this team will be a much better team. Already, I can say, 2.5 months down the line, this is a better team than when we arrived here on the 27th of December.
And personally?
Fabulous. And it's always great to come back to this country. It's, I've been coming back here for years. The cricket's tough, but at the same time, what I really liked on this tour was people in the crowd. They appreciated good cricket. It was a competitive Test series. It's even though the one-day scoreline might be, 4-1, there have been moments where it's been competitive.
Otis, what has disappointed you most about this series?
Where do we start? We've been dominated at home, so that's a bit disappointing in our own conditions. We play the same opposition 5 games now, and we haven't sort of come up with a real solid plan of how we're going to play their spin, especially. Their spin has been the key factor. It's 2 things, I think. The top order, not getting runs, not getting wickets at the top of the order, and then not being able to play better against their spin. And we know that we can play better, but we haven't been able to do it. So that's been disappointing.
Has it surprised you that your top order batsmen have not been able to read the spin as well as they should have?
Perhaps, but also, you have to give them credit. They bowled very well, and the wickets have spun. We came here, I think, for the first game when we got knocked over for 100, and we said, well, it never spins at Centurion, and then they spun it, and we were slow to react, and therefore always behind the 8 ball, and then once they got the momentum and we got a little bit edgy with how we're going to play them, it carried on game after game. I think the Wanderers showed us that, okay, it was a shortened game, but the Wanderers also showed us that we can play them and we can be positive and score against them, but we've not been able to do it consistently enough.
And I presume in your mind this is far from a dead rubber, this game?
Of course, again, it's an opportunity for some guys to show that they can play at this level and play better than we have done so far, and an opportunity to try and win a game also, and get some momentum. I think before I got here, the Pro Days had won 17 on the bounce. So we just lost a few now, and I said to the guys yesterday, this is now an opportunity to start that next 17 cycle. It doesn't feel like it at the moment, but you come out with the right attitude. India's won the series already, but we still got to come out and try and put a lot of pressure on them. The difference, again, their top order has got, every one of their top 3, I think, have got 100 in the series so far. We've got 100. That's also disappointing for the level of talent that we've got in the room.
Yeah, disappointing, of course, to lose the series. Mac, is this an examination and a test for those who come into the side? You said something about you'd rather be changing the side when you've won the series, but they haven't. So those coming in, what is their brief, so to speak?
Well, I think to make an impact, to make a play. I think the biggest thing here, we've said there's going to be opportunities. With opportunities, someone's got to put their hands up. And at the moment, yes, we've had injuries, the pitches have spun. Can't make any really excuses. I think the biggest upsetting thing for the South African setup is I don't think the senior players have stand up as they normally do in terms of taking wickets up front. And then those 1, 2, 3, 4 batsmen, normally that's their blueprint. They get hundreds, they get big hundreds. And to have no hundreds after 5 games just shows that the Indian bowlers and their skill has been a little bit of ahead of what the South Africans are used to. But you've got to pick yourself up and go from here. I think there's going to be a lot of improvement from here. There has to be in terms of that, and there's going to be a guidance and a blueprint to say, okay, well, we're not good enough. Our depth isn't good enough at the moment, and we've got to get up to standard.
Okay. Well, let's take a break. We'll talk a little bit more about exactly what must be done in order to be better. And for India, how it is that they can continue despite the series having been won. You heard a little bit from both the coaches there giving their view on how to just keep pressing on, and the others on how to keep picking themselves up and looking to do the right thing. Lots and lots to see in South Africa, as we've shown you through the series.